After reading an article from the Business Journal, one of the articles was video games in college sports. NCAA, which is the Association for All Athletes in College, has decided that they will probably introduce video games, or esports as they call it, as a collegiate sport, offering them full scholarships and offering students the same advances that other students would receive for their sport. Now, firsthand, this goes against everything NCAA stands for. NCAA has a rule that is called the amateurism rule, meaning that any athlete cannot be paid, sponsored, or receive any sort of advertising for their sport or to make them look better or anything at all. Video games, on the other hand, have tournaments which receive prize money, have advertising through Twitch, which is a social media, or YouTube, and also have sponsorships, video game companies, clothing companies, because it is a huge market. So for NCAA to be able to accept video games as a collegiate sport, they are going against this rule. What that means is that they'll have to change this rule or eliminate it, which will cause problems with all the other sports after many athletes are rejected because of this amateurism rule. For instance, in hockey, most players that go to major junior tryouts, which is a sort of semi-professional league, cannot come college sports because of this rule. So with this happening, this rule will be abolished and many changes will have to be done to the NCAA. In my opinion, I don't believe video games is a sport. It's a pastime, it's a hobby. As you can see now, they're having fun. But it is not a sport. It doesn't take any physical activity. Doesn't push your body past its limits. It may push you mentally, but nothing more than that. You don't pull the sweat out of it, you're not tired from it, you just lose your mind. The NCAA also said in the article that one of the main reasons they're thinking of adding video games as a sport is because they see a huge value in the market. Video game tournaments receive anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 for a one-day tournament, whereas the NCAA would put in sanctions to receive a cut of that. Already them making $1 billion a year on a non-profit organization isn't enough, so they plan on bringing in the sport to make them more money. It doesn't make sense that video games can be considered a sport. They don't go through training since they're kids like the rest of athletes do. They don't push their bodies past exertions every day. Athletes are not the same as video game players. What do you guys think? Do you believe video games should be sports?
I do not think video games should be sports. There's no physical activity. There's no training. It's just a fun. You have fun with it with your friends, and if you're bored, you just go play it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's just it's more of a hobby at this point. There's no real competition in it. I mean, granted, yeah, there are competitions out there, but there's not the same as like a baseball tournament or a hockey tournament or a soccer tournament. There's no such thing as physical activity in video games. There's never will be. It's more of just a hobby than an actual lifestyle.
All right, here with Quinn Wickers, a fellow NCAA athlete who is also a video game enthusiast. Just want to know, do you believe that video games are considered a sport, and if they should be funded by the NCAA?
I think in my personal opinion, video games are not exactly a sport. I don't think they require much athletic ability. To me, it just is more like a game, something to relax. However, I do know that some people play it very competitively, but being that it doesn't require physical skills such as kicking, running, jumping, something like that, where the other sports such as soccer, hockey, would require that. I don't think that video games should be funded by the NCAA, where people would receive scholarships for their ability to play video games. So yeah.
After reading the Sports Business Journal this week, the article titled 10 Wake Forest Alums Decide We Want to Win with Facilities Push focuses on their efforts to update their fieldhouse, football stadium, athletic center, and something for just about every other sport on campus.
$200 million in donations went up to updating their facilities, which will show recruits a level of commitment and respect.
Colleges use their facilities and current athletes to brand their program and entice future athletes.
Although Wake Forest is primarily known for a golf school, they are also trying to turn that around with expansions and upgrades for all the sports teams.
Investing to this magnitude can help put Wake Forest on the map and draw in more students and respect from their competitors.
With this expansion, they now feel that they are better equipped to compete with all the top schools and higher divisions in the nation.
Although new facilities don't guarantee better results instantly, the alumni feel that results in the near future is worth it. How big of a factor do you think it is for schools to have nice facilities despite what division they are?
I think at any school level, it's a high factor that everybody should look into. Having a nice facility anywhere really, it's something that can help represent a team and like the whole school in general, other than just the team itself. It can also help show the dedication the school has towards its athletics, and not just the academics, but it focuses on both just as important. And so having the nice facilities other than old rundown facilities to use would be very beneficial for any school.
After reading in the Sports Business Journal about how Hurricane Irma affected college football, what is your take on this?
My take is it had a huge effect. Teams couldn't practice. Teams couldn't use their facilities. They couldn't go through game type practice weeks. It took a huge effect because they had to move to different facilities, go across. Like the top 25 programs from Florida had to go across country to like Texas, northern Texas, California. One had to go to Arkansas just to even practice, and that affected their game week, and their games are tossed in the air right now if they're going to be played or not.
As a NCAA athlete, how can you relate to how an athlete feels after he hasn't practiced for a week and has to play?
The practice schedule is needed. You need to go through a typical week, go through like routine by routine, same thing every week. It's big. You need to eat certain types of foods. Like baseball, you're superstitious. Football, I'm sure you're superstitious. You just need those consistent things throughout the week.
How do you think it'll affect the athletes?
I think it has a huge effect. They're going to be messed up going cross country, different time zones, different food. They're not going to be with their families. It's going to be a huge effect on them.
Butler University now has a mascot that no man can resist. It has 4 legs and a big smile on his face. Butler Blue, the Bulldog, is now the face of the Butler Bulldogs franchise. His market campaign costed the school around $750 total and generated $500,000 for the school. Social media was a big part of the campaign, as having that mascot that attracts the mass population that follows college sports, being affiliated with the Cinderella team during the 2017 NCAA basketball tournament, makes everyone want to jump onto the bandwagon. The dog has brought this on itself 15 sponsorships, from low-bottom golf bags to the Nike apparel covering all of the dog's needs. Whether it's leading the team on the field or onto the court, or if it's a post-game press conference after a clutch win, fans are always excited to see Butler Blue.
After reading through the Sports Business Journal, one article that caught my eye titled "Wake Up the Echoes" is about Notre Dame's new facility around their football field. The $400 million project helped bring in many more season ticket holders and many more potential future athletes. Although Notre Dame is already a well-known school and a major football school, in order to keep their name on the map and well-known, they felt it was necessary to redo their stadium and invest $400 million. In your opinion, how do you think Mercyhurst can improve their facilities to help draw in more revenue and potential athletes?
Well, first off, Mercyhurst already has great facilities for all their athletes. Every team is well maintained and we all have a place to perform. But to improve them, for starters, the soccer and baseball team are sharing a field right now, and we could separate them to make it look more professional and attract more soccer players as well as more baseball players, bringing stronger teams and higher quality performances. On the other hand, the hockey team as well is missing a couple facilities if you compare them to other D1 schools, where Division I programs are full rehab centers, full player lounges, and other facilities that we do not have here. Yes, the players are well taken care of, but there's always an improvement that can be done, and which would bring in more athletes. It's a factor of presentation. If the school is well presented to the athlete and the facilities are well presented, the athlete will be more enticed to come to this school, bringing in higher quality athletes, bringing in which will lead to better performances and bring in more spectators, which in the end will bring more revenue to the school since more people will be paying to come see the performances. Right now, the hockey team, for instance, can only hold about 700 to 800 spectators in the arena, whereas other schools can hold up to 10,000. And with a larger size stadium and more seating, we would be able to afford having more people selling more tickets and having a better performance in general and bring in more revenue for the school.
I agree. I think if the gym presented themselves in a newer, nicer manner and had updated equipment, we would draw in more potential students.
For sure. Many athletes complain that the athletic center doesn't have a big enough gym
It's very outdated.
and doesn't have enough variety for people to train or space. They're all clustered, and you gotta wait a long time for the machines to be free.
In more recent news, Mercyhurst University has hired 3 new athletic trainers to add to their faculty. These athletic trainers will now benefit up to 175 students, consisting of the men and women's soccer and lacrosse programs and the field hockey program, all of which are alumni of Mercyhurst.